We have a few friends in common, so we got to be friends probably, I guess, maybe 15 years ago. And I've always been a huge fan of James's work and always have wanted to work with him. This movie came around, and I leapt at the chance to have the opportunity to work with him on this. Timeline of the movie takes place in the fall of 1980, and that summer of 1980 is when I moved to New York to go to school to study fashion design. So I was older, than he was at that time, but it was just resonated with me so much about being in New York and being on the subway in Times Square and Central Park. And, he told me a lot about growing up in Queens and showed me his yearbooks and pictures of his family. And I really loved the way that, it was so beautifully written. There are so many things exciting about Anne Hathaway, but is her passion. I mean, she is so laser focused on every single detail, and she's so involved. She wants to know the reason why Esther would wear something. She's really looking at everything. Those shoes. Where would she have bought those? Or sometimes I would show her something. She'd say, "Oh no, that Esther, that would be too fancy for Esther." So she's these subtleties, and then we talked about the colors. So these dark, deep reds, these blues, and also James he said, my mother wore pants a lot. Think leisure suits. So we had these kind of knit pants and these kind of like ensembles, that were popular in the 70s. So a lot of times James would say, think late 70s, even though this is the fall of 80, that, people would have kept the same clothes or owned the clothes for a while. And his family, he didn't always have the newest, latest things. They saved up. Anne says, she's liberated. She's president of the PTA. She's a teacher. So those things are very important to her. Her clothes would, embody that she was a liberated woman. James had photographs of his father, and so we started with that. And then I had a conversation with Jeremy, and he said, James's father was an engineer. So he, had nice trousers, like a nice wool blend, poly blend trouser, and he wore a lace-up shoe, and he always wore an undershirt, and, his shirts were pressed. And so there was, still in these colors of these earth tones and these 70s kind of colors, we wanted to pick kind of a small wardrobe of things that he could wear again and again. And so it was like zip jacket and khaki and, things that he's very method, Jeremy. So he wanted a flat cap, and he wanted to be able to wear it, take it home, wear it. The belt was important because he takes that belt off because he's going to give Paul a smack, so that, that kind of thing. He's wearing his father's watch, which was very meaningful to Jeremy. And then he was also very particular about his glasses. So, it was he was super involved with everything. For Aaron, for Grandpa, Tony, James, and I had talked about this idea of these colors that would be like charcoal gray or, mixed with brown and tans, and that we would find something for him that he would kind of wear all the time. And so that ended up being a suit. And Tony had the idea that it would be a little bit big because Grandpa doesn't realize it, but he has cancer. And so he's shrinking as time goes by, and so we see that. So I wanted to be sure that we had a series of suits similar, that they would get a little bit bigger. And so you would notice that maybe he was becoming a little bit smaller. And then sometimes he would even wear his coat inside, because he might be a bit chilly, or he just didn't think to take it off. And he would always wear these, good solid shoes. I was always looking for a good solid shoe for him. And then always keeping things in this kind of muted earth tones. But it's certainly an elegance and an old world. Maybe he got his coat in Europe in the 50s or something like that, in the 60s, and he still wears it.